The legacy of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers continues with this 30th anniversary special episode. So the question is, did it live up to expectations? Find out as we recap the Netflix special on this Toy Connections Deep Dive. Hey everyone, I thought I'd do something a little bit different here and have a talk and recap of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 30th anniversary special titled Power Rangers Once and Always. We see some great cast member reintroductions and really just returns, outright returns to the show, some new cast choices. There's a lot to talk about. So what I'm going to do here is discuss the plot a little bit. So this is going to be a spoiler heavy discussion episode, semi-podcast episode, but at the same time, what I really wanted to do is put my thoughts out there about this particular Power Rangers 1 hour special episode. Now, what I will say is that I haven't covered Power Rangers in depth on this particular channel, actually on any channel. This is really my main one, but what I do want to say is that because I grew up with the franchise, like I was kind of coming towards the later part of my adolescence as Power Rangers began ramping up, but there was just something about that, the Zord feel that felt a lot like Transformers that gave me a little bit of, what do you call it, just, it was almost like nostalgia within nostalgia, like the Zord battles and the way they transformed reminded me of Transformers, but at the same time, the innocent teenage nature of it and the teenage characters that we had gave me that Saved by the Bell sort of feeling that was popular in the early part of the 1990s. So look, they brought back a lot of the original cast members and other cast members who made their way into the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers brand in the mid-90s before they transitioned to Power Rangers Zeo. And they brought in some characters, well, as we'll discuss, we've even introduced a new Ranger in this particular episode. So what I really like about it is the intensity of the episode is more than that of the average Power Rangers episode. So we begin really in mid-battle, and Billy is already like on the ground, surrounded by putties, and right off the bat, you're like, what's going on here? Like, this is intense right off the bat. Like, he's in the middle of a fight. And we see the other Rangers who are already morphed, namely basically the other 5 originals. So like Zack, Trini, Jason, Tommy, Kimberly. Now, of course, we know the majority of these other cast members are not part of the are not part of this episode for obvious reasons in certain cases. And when they do the battle, Trini's character is very much considered alive at the start of the episode, and it takes a blast from this reincarnated version of Robo Rita. So Rita Repulsa, the original villain, was Robo Rita to blast, and effectively she kills Trini in battle. And this is something that we hadn't really dealt with before in Power Rangers lore. Yes, in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, there was the temporary loss of Kendrix, and then she came back before the series finale, or during the series finale, I should say, because Valerie Vernon was battling through an illness that she recovered from, and that was kind of the closest we got. And this is truly a case of a character actually dying and staying dead for the reasons we'll talk about in a second. And I do also want to discuss that they did deal with a character death in Power Rangers Time Force as well, with the character of Alex having died, but then as it was shown, he wasn't really dead, and he came back later on in the series. This particular death hits on a very emotional note because, as you know, a lot of Power Rangers fans know, Thuy Trang, who played Trini, died a number of years ago, and obviously very tragic. And then sort of utilizing the Trini death and the fact that when she does die, like when Trini dies in the episode, she does so while saving Billy. Now, one thing that's very obvious to note, because we knew the casting choices before this episode aired, we knew that among the original team of 5 or 6, if you're counting Jason David Frank as the Green Ranger, we knew only Walter Jones and David Yost would be shown out of costume, right? So most of the dialogue that occurs is between Billy, the Blue Ranger, and Zack, the Black Ranger. Now, they do pipe in some sound of the original Rangers. I think they just used like audio from 1993 and 1994 to get it to sound like the other Rangers are in the battle, because they are, but they're shown morphed. Now, as Trini dies at the hands of Robo Rita, the other Rangers end up, well, actually, I'll get to that in a second. They, with what happens to the other Rangers. Now, unfortunately, it's left up to Zack and Billy to break the news to Trini's teenage daughter, Minh. And they're having an emotional discussion. Like, it's interesting to see, because Billy and Zack are actually arguing, like legit arguing about how to break the news to Trini's daughter. And this is something that's really aged up, because now we're not watching them through the eyes of kids anymore. Like, we've grown up as fans of the franchise, and we're adults now ourselves. We've been adults for a good number of years. And at least I can speak for myself on that front, or at least I think I act like an adult as I'm sitting in, an area surrounded by toys. But anyway, point being is that Zack and Billy get into a heated discussion about how to break the news, or if to break the news to Trini's daughter, because Trini's daughter didn't even know they were Rangers. Eventually, Trini's daughter kind of walks in and finds out the news, and runs out crying. And what ends up happening is, a year later, on the anniversary of Trini's death, it's now shown that Zack has been raising Minh. She calls him Uncle Zack. He's her legal guardian. She holds a little bit of a grudge towards Billy, because Trini died while saving Billy. And that's a whole other thing. They actually use the word kill in the episode, which is not something they've done before. They've always said, you'll be destroyed, you won't make it, something to that effect. And they don't actually use the word kill until now. And it's just great to see this sort of like aged up demographic that they're clearly targeting. So during the 1 year, like at the 1 year anniversary of Trini's death, as Zack and Minh are making their way to visit her grave, they hear that the other Rangers are already in battle. And basically what happens is, you show the morphed red, pink, and green Rangers get captured by Rita. Again, we know who they're supposed to be, but clearly it's stunt people in the costumes with archive sound piped in. So only Billy and Zack make it out of that, and then the other Rangers are captured. So most of the storyline at the beginning revolves around Billy, Zack, and Trini's daughter, Minh. So what ends up happening is, they go back to, Billy and Zack go back to what's basically an homage command center that it looks like the original Power Rangers command center, but it's really owned by Cranston Tech, and I guess that's Billy's technological company. So it looks like the command center, except it's not. They've got a version of Alpha in there who they're calling Alpha 9 now, rather than Alpha 5 or Alpha 6. And there's an interdimensional space tube there that's supposed to represent where Zordon would be, because it turned out Billy was trying to see if he could summon some remnant energy of Zordon. And the Rangers are now having to live without the guidance of Zordon. And that's a whole nother thing, because they don't have his mentorship anymore. And it's shown in a flashback sequence that Billy was trying to summon Zordon in some way, shape, or form, and he accidentally summoned Rita Repulsa some time ago. So she came back. She's now in like robot form, and she destroys that version of Alpha, which was Alpha 8 at the time. So now we've got Alpha 9. So Billy, by and large, blames himself for her even returning. Now, because the other Rangers are captured, you got to bear in mind we're just left with Zack and Billy at this point in time. Alpha 9 does summon other Rangers, and we are treated to, well, the return of Kat, or Catherine, who was actually the second Pink Ranger and played the Pink Ranger right at the end of Mighty Morphin, and mostly in Zeo and Turbo after, but she has been shown in 1995 Morphin with a Pink Ranger costume, the original Pink Ranger costume, for a few episodes. And Rocky, who was the second Red Ranger after Jason, who was there for a huge chunk of the second season of Mighty Morphin and the whole third season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So it's cool to see them back there. So you've got 4 Rangers who were in the Mighty Morphin series in some way, shape, or form, because remember, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers lasted from 93 to 95. Before they switched to Power Rangers Zeo. So Zack and Billy are the ones from 1993. Rocky is the one who was there in 94, and Kat was there in 1995 towards the end of that season. And as many of you know, Billy was actually in all 3 of those seasons. So, but it's good to see 4 people from the Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers cast show back up. And I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I actually, prefer Kat over Kimberly. Maybe it was a childhood crush sort of thing, which is maybe a discussion for another day. But, I just feel like the Kat character is something that over the years, as we come out of the 1990s, I just like her character better, whereas Kimberly was a bit of a Valley girl stereotype of that era, so it's kind of like very fixed to the 90s, whereas I think Kat was a bit more timeless. But we can debate a bit about that in the comments. It's just a slight preference on my part. So there's a lot of great homages here. Like, they do show the Angel Grove High juice bar where the Rangers hung out for a long period of time during the original run. And it's cool because, like, as the Rangers go into battle, obviously they're missing a Yellow Ranger. And Minh, she's looking at a memoir at home to her mom where her mom's photo is there. And of course, she grabs her mom's morpher. We know where this is going, right? And you may be asking about some of the other Rangers because you will have seen Aisha and Adam in the trailer, or maybe you've already watched the episode. And if you have, you already know where I'm going with this, is that Aisha and Adam are on some sort of a space operation. So they do talk over the monitor to Billy and the others, but they're not a big part of the episode. But it is good to see Johnny Young Bosch and Karen Ashley participate in this special. So for the majority of the episode, you deal with 4 Rangers. You deal with Billy in blue, Zack in the black outfit. You've got Rocky as red and Kat as pink. And it's cool because when they do their first It's Morphin time morphing sequence, it's Zack who kind of says it's Morphin time because he's kind of the senior member at that point in time. Him and Billy, really. But, Zack got to say it, which was kind of cool. And it was interesting, too, because we got to see Kat do the pterodactyl battle cry with her Morphin. And because for those who remember the 3rd season of Power Rangers, when she came, she never got the pilot, the pterodactyl, right? She got there when it was the Crane Ninja Zord and one of the Shogun Zords, and she morphed by saying Pink Ranger power rather than pterodactyl. So that's a really great homage because they're using either replicas of the original coins or some way to tap into the original energy grid. So to me, that's just an amazing homage to see that. And one thing also of note is that they're acknowledging on screen now, even though I believe it's in the comics, is that Tommy and Kat are married. Yes, it was shown in a Power Rangers Zeo special that they grew old together later on in life, but this is the time where they've actually shown now in this once Power Rangers Once and Always episode that Kat actually talks about their son, like her and Tommy's son JJ, who I believe is a character in the comic. And in an old special from a number of years ago, we do see Tommy talk about JJ, but someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first time they've actually fully acknowledged it on camera that Kat and Tommy are married with a son, and his name is JJ. But again, he's a character from the comics from what I understand. So it's kind of cool because, they even say, Kat even goes as far as to say she doesn't want to worry JJ by telling him that his father's been kidnapped. But anyway, the whole thing here is that this is a very deep storyline, and they have aged up the storytelling very much in the same way that we have aged up. Just as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a very serious show compared to the sort of innocence that we grew up with. Now, there's always going to be a sense of innocence here. The dialogue, while it has aged up, it doesn't feel fully like one of the primetime shows we saw back in the day, but it's somewhere in between that kiddie nature and the primetime type of mature storytelling. So it has a level of maturity to it. If you've watched the episode, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's just a lot to digest and to unpack here. And there is a lot in the plot that you'll just have to watch on Netflix, but this is kind of my long way of saying that I thoroughly enjoyed it. Despite the fact that I can't mention every detail of what we're talking about here, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, of course, in the sort of last 1/3 or so of the episode, Minh follows the Rangers on a mission, and unsurprisingly, she morphs and becomes the Yellow Ranger. You knew that was coming. It takes her a few tries, like the first couple times she doesn't morph properly, or she doesn't morph at all, I should say. And then she ends up morphing and becoming the Yellow Ranger and carrying on her mom's legacy. Yes, Uncle Zack doesn't feel too great about it as her legal guardian, but I think he understands it was a natural succession plan. So she, I haven't had a whole lot of time to get used to Minh, but from what I can tell, she's been a good addition to the team. She's got the lineage and all that. And eventually they do thwart Rita's plan because Rita wants to go back in time and stop the Rangers in 1993 from becoming Rangers at all. They thwart that plan. And obviously because it's Power Rangers, not every plot detail is going to be airtight and make perfect sense, but it is a feel-good homage to what we grew up with, and there's a lot to like about it. So if you haven't watched it, I, wholeheartedly suggest that you do. Yes, it's a 60-minute episode, so there's a bit of a time commitment there compared to most Power Rangers episodes. But if you grew up with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers at all, this is a must watch. Yes, they did some homages, like in 2002's Forever Red episode. That was contained within basically 22 minutes, so I felt that they had more time to play with. They had more time to kind of develop the plot in this episode. So the closing battle really is resummoning of the original Megazord, which they're now retroactively calling the Dino Megazord, right? Back in 1993, it was just Megazord. So now it's called Dino Megazord. That's okay. And it's great to see Billy summon Dinozord power once again, and to see Minh piloting the Megazord kind of directly attached to the saber-toothed tiger. And it's also cool to see Cat directly tied to the pterodactyl by being in the Megazord there, and Rocky tied directly to the Tyrannosaurus. Because if you recall, in 1994, Rocky would morph by saying Tyrannosaurus, but every episode the Tyrannosaurus would immediately become the Red Dragon Thunderzord, because that was how the Thunderzord shift happened. Hopefully you understand what I'm talking about there, because I'm sort of just taking for granted that people have this particular intricate knowledge or memories of Power Rangers. But the final Zord battle is just pure fun. Yes, they go up against this big like technological lizard, but what's cool is that the Megazord here, it doesn't have these sort of like clunky basic movements of the early 1990s. It actually moves like jumping in the air and doing like more ninja style stuff. So it was cool to see this sort of like, this aged up version of the Megazord play a part of the battle, and will actually be in the main battle itself. So again, the clunky movements that they had in the past were just something that we accepted as kids and still accept now when we go back and watch. And of course, they go back and they, once that Zord battle is done, the Rangers go back and they kill Rita Repulsa. Yes, kill, not destroy, not make go away. She's gone for good, as far as we know. Adam and Aisha do show up at the end of the episode at the Cranston Tech Command Center base, and because Minh had blamed Billy for a while for Rita's return and Trini's death, eventually they have to reconcile. You knew that was coming, and you get kind of a feel-good ending, right? And at the very end of the episode, they do show a in-memory closing sequence in memory of Jason David Frank, who played Tommy, and Thuy Trang, who played Trini, which is a fitting end and a touching end to it. And of course, they give a great end credit with the original Go-Go Power Rangers theme song, and just kind of going over who played who in the cast. So that was really great to see. Overall, if you're wondering about the episode, I hugely recommend it. If anything, just for the feel-good moments, the aged-up storytelling, the plot being, while I said that there's some plot holes, it is detailed enough compared to what we're used to as kids, and you will enjoy it in my mind. And if you didn't, you can just say it in the comments below. For me, I was looking forward to this special for months and months, ever since they first announced it. Like I said, I really liked the character of Kat back in the day. I'm glad that Billy, was able to play such a huge part of the story. And I actually got to meet David Yost back in, I believe it was 2017 at the Vancouver Fan Expo. Got a photo with him. He's a really, really great dude in person. I got to meet Austin St. John in the same Fan Expo. And, just again, seeing Zack back after such a long time. Walter Jones actually did the breakdance fighting that he was known for in the early 1990s. And, Minh got to scream "It's Morphin time" once in the episode as well, which again makes for a great homage. And you fly through the sequence of her actually saying "Saber-tooth tiger" and the other Rangers calling their Zord battle cries. So again, good jokes. Rocky tells some food jokes in there. I love the mature storytelling, and it gave us the childhood homage that we've come to know and love. So all in all, this is a long way of me saying that I've never felt better to be a Power Rangers fan. But hey, I'd like to hear from the rest of you in the comment section below. Have you seen this episode? Do you intend to watch it? If you watched, did you like it? What did you like? What did you not like? So you know what? I'm waiting to hear from the rest of you. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm just going to put up some links over here that you can click on to continue your Toy Connections viewing experience. And otherwise, I'll see you all again next time. So thanks for watching this. Take care and have a good one.